Hi, I'm Diann Davisson, your Advanced Certified Grief Specialist, and today I'm going to demonstrate to you how to take your pet relationship graph that you just completed and turn that into your recovery components. And the 3 recovery components they talk about in the book, that's chapter 7, is apologies, forgiveness, and significant emotional statements. And the purpose of doing this exercise is to discover or uncover any aspects of our relationship with our pet that needs to be discovered and completed. Now, our relationship with our pets are much different than our relationships with humans. Our relationship with humans are much more complicated. With our pets, they've never told us we were fat, ugly, or stupid. They just loved us unconditionally, just the way that we are. So sometimes it's a little difficult to think of apologies and forgiveness. But when we work with apologies, that is anything that I need to apologize to my pet that I wish I had done better, different, or more. Perhaps taking them to the beach more often, or doggy park, or to do dog training more early on. When we work with forgiveness, we're working with what I need to forgive my pet for, such as chewing up my expensive shoes, chewing up my eyeglasses, maybe if we had a kitty spraying or going to pee in the house that we want to forgive them for. And it tells us in the book that forgiveness is action, is an action process. It's not a feeling that we may not feel like forgiving, but we need to do that so we can move on in our relationship with our pet. They also talk about that if there is people that maybe did you wrong or your pet wrong around your pet, let's say there was a hit and run, that so many times we're very focused on the offender that we don't even have that loving good memories of our pets because we're so angry and hurt about the person that took our beloved pet away from us. And when we do that, we're holding on to a lot of resentment and we're not allowing ourselves to be free. We're basically giving our power away. And so they talk about acknowledgement, and that's a fourth one that we can use if we're not there yet to forgive. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So I'm going to show you, you're going to get out your pet graph, and you're going to assign a category to each event on your chart. You may have more than one event on your chart. You may have all 3 events on your chart. But most likely your significant emotional statements are going to be in the upward line. For instance, I have my first one would be how happy I was that Terry brought Rufus home to us from Woods Humane Society. So you're going to get out 4 pieces of paper. One piece of paper is going to have apology, the second one forgiveness, the third one significant emotional statement, and the 4th one, if you need it, is acknowledgement. So I'm going to write that on my significant emotional statement. Another significant emotional statement I have on my chart is I want to tell Rufus how much I love watching him chase other dogs at the dog park. So you're going to do that for each and every event. Now, usually your downward vertical lines are going to be apologies or forgiveness. For instance, the first one I have on mine is I'm going to forgive Rufus for being such a terrible shedder of his fur. Even when we went to the car wash, you couldn't even vacuum out his sweet little hair from the carpet. And then the next one I have a apology and a forgiveness to Rufus, because early on the vet told us that we need to practice getting into his mouth. He was very resistant. So I'm going to apologize to Rufus for putting my fingers in his mouth when he did not like it. And I'm also going to forgive Rufus for being so resistant to that. So once again, every item you have on your relationship graph, you're going to assign a recovery category to that. Now you may have all 3, such as here, when I had Rufus was off the leash. I have a significant emotional statement saying, Rufus, you were so good. When we were at the beach, we could have you off the leash and you would stay right with us. However, I have an apology and forgiveness because I'm going to forgive Rufus when we were getting close to the road, how he took off like a bat out of hell, went across the street chasing something, and it scared me to death. That is one of my worst fears, is my dog would be hit by a car. And I'm going to apologize to Rufus for not hooking him up with his leash sooner. So that's going to be on each one of those papers, or if you want to put it all together, whatever your heart says to do, that's right for you to do that. Now in the book, again, it talks about, as I mentioned, about maybe some people that offended you, that were the offenders that caused the death or the hurt to your pet. And for instance, on my chart, I have here when Rufus was at the hospital and he died, I need to forgive the hospital and the vet and the people there, the staff, for their negligence. But when I started to do this, I just didn't have it in my heart to forgive them. So in the book, they talk about a fourth category, which is an acknowledgement statement. So I'm going to acknowledge that the staff was negligent, and I'm going to set them free. I'm going to release that so I can be free and not carry that heaviness in the heart. Sometimes an acknowledged statement is a stepping stone to our forgiveness. So that's what you're going to do. Each and every category event you have on your chart, you're going to assign a category and you're going to write that out. Rufus, I need to forgive you for this, this, or that. Rufus, I need to apologize, or a significant emotional statement. They also tell us in the book, you may have a compassionate statement too. Like the authors talked about their dog George that had that anxiety of being left alone. And when he was left alone, he tore up their house, creating thousands of dollars in damage. And so they said, George, I have compassion for you and whatever happened to you to make you so frightened of being alone. And so that's what your assignment today will be, is these recovery categories. Make sure that you don't analyze, philosophize, or intellectualize your chart. We want this to be emotional for you. So if it's emotional, if you're feeling it, put it on your chart. I know you'll do great because you cannot do this wrong. And if you need any help or assistance, just reach out to me. That's what I'm here for.